So this is a sample supply processing agreement. Yeah, and what GDPR says is that you need to have one of these in place if you're a controller with every processor. So you as the event organizer, for one event, you might need 5 or 10 of these, depending on all the companies, on all the technology systems that you're working with. And what it requires is, all these terms are standard. So GDPR says that this contract must have, obviously, definitions and stuff. I'm just going to walk through. So rather than just giving a list, showing you a list of items, I'm just going to walk through this document. So processing of personal data for intended purposes. So the controller tells the processor, you can only process the data for a specific purpose. And the staff who are handling that data must be reliable and look after that data and not disclose it to anyone. You must have due security in place, including the word here, encryption, if it's practical. A subprocessor is if a processor then uses a third party to manage some of the process, then this contract says that the processor can only assign a third party if they have the controller's prior approval. So an example of that might be that if you're using a DMC for, in fact, if we go to that transfer example I gave earlier, you're using a DMC for transfers, and the DMC might then outsource that to a local taxi company. Then you, as the event organizer, need to give approval of that before it can proceed. So data subject access rights, I think we've heard that now we are all data subjects and we have more rights. Process in case there's a breach, so you need to have that in contract between the two of you. And don't forget, all of this is to limit your liability for each of you. And at the end of the process, what happens to all that data that the controller has given you? You have to erase it or return it. You can't then start using it for other purposes, and that's one of the key things about GDPR. Okay, special rules on international transfers of data. And finally, this is the details of the actual processing. So you've got the main agreement, which has a fairly standard clauses, and then you've got the actual, the nature of the processing, which is going to be carried out by the processor on behalf of the controller. Okay, so I just want to walk through that document. Now, of course, for one event, you might have, as I mentioned, many of these documents. And the nature of events is that as you do new events, you'll have new contracts, which you need to keep updated. Now, obviously, you can print, scan, sign, scan, even fax nowadays. Yeah, but there's a more efficient way of doing that. And this is where I now want to pass back, and a demonstration by Elaine will show you how you can use DocuSign to get a document such as this signed and stored efficiently and quickly and in a conducive manner.